This is Lady Boule, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. Today I'm asking a simple question. Why can't we believe her? This is Richardson. She's an outside hitter for Duke University's women's volleyball team. Rachel is the only African American starter for the volleyball team. On Friday, August 26th, Duke played Brigham Young in Provo, Utah. Rachel complained that each time it was her turn to serve, she heard racist slurs and heckling coming towards her and the other African American team players. There are other African Americans on the team, but she's the only starter. She told her coach what was happening. Her coach went and told Brigham Young's coach. They didn't do anything about the heckler, but they did place a police officer near the bench where the girls were sitting. Now, I want to point out that she told her coach she went through the proper chain of command. So, to refute the lie that somebody is saying that she waited until 2 days later, that is not true, and that person did not get the details straight. She told her coach. The coach told the Brigham Young's coach. They did nothing about the heckling, but they put a police officer near the bench. Now that indicates there was a problem. Furthermore, they have suspended the person that was identified as the heckler, but now the story has changed. Now there's an effort to discredit this young woman and say that the incident never happened. And I'm going to say that the reason they're saying it didn't happen is because Brigham Young dropped the ball. They did not do anything when the child complained. It is their responsibility to create a safe environment, a safe and non-hostile environment for student athletes. And she did complain to her coach, and her coach relayed the information to Brigham Young's coach. But they didn't do anything about the heckler. That Sunday, August 28th, she told her father about the incident, and he went to the news media. The story went viral, and Brigham Young came out looking pretty bad. Now, conservative news outlets have picked up the story, and they've done what they always do. They've gotten on code. Either will say that it didn't happen, or they try to confuse the situation by saying this person said that or somebody sitting beside them said that to make it seem like what this young woman said is not true. So they got on code. There's nothing surprising about that. It's not surprising that the Salt Lake City Police Department saw no suggestion of racial harassment or insults or heckling. It's no surprise that the conservative newspapers would do what they're doing. What's problematic is that there are black people who have decided that she's not telling the truth. The reason I entitled this video, Why Can't We Believe Her, instead of Why Don't We Believe Her, is because some of us believe her. I think overwhelmingly, most of us believe her. I've attended a couple of predominantly white institutions, and I don't have any problem at all believing what she said. I work with students who attend PWI institutions, and they don't have a problem with what she said. These black students who are attending these predominantly white institutions, especially if they're in high-profile positions or any kind of leadership position, whether it's sports, whether it's on scholarship, whether they're in research labs, assistant teaching, it doesn't matter what they're doing. If they're active on that campus, they're going to run into some form of racism. And anybody who's going to say that they don't believe it happened or that it would happen is somebody who either didn't go to a predominantly white institution or they were a nobody on the campus doing nothing, and nobody was paying any attention to them, because most of these students will tell you they do run into racism on these campuses. Even some of these accomplished, wealthy black people who send their children to these big-time schools like Harvard and Yale and Cornell and Princeton, those children experience racism. Charles Blow in particular talked about an experience his son had at Harvard. They have problems in all of these institutions, whether it's the largest most prestigious university down to the smallest, most rural community college. You can experience racism on any of these campuses if you are black. And it is the responsibility of that university to make sure that the environment is safe for all of the students. And they had a responsibility to this young woman to make sure she was playing in a safe environment. There are a lot of black student athletes, male and female, who go through these things. Many of them just take it. They just suck it up. And they are expected to suck it up and not say anything because that's convenient for everybody but them. But she was one of the ones that spoke out, and that was her right. And it was their responsibility to make sure the environment was safe for her as well as everybody else in that arena. She did not have the responsibility to keep quiet and say nothing if she was being heckled or if she was being called racist slurs just because she wanted to participate in a volleyball game. Racism hasn't gone anywhere in this country. Now, if you were to say, would all of the students at Brigham Young do something like that? I would say no. I would say most of the students wouldn't do anything like that. But people who do that are very bold and they're very loud. And then there are others who agree with what they're saying. They may not say it themselves, but they don't have a problem with another person saying it. And Brigham Young and Utah have a problem, and they've had a problem for a long time. Even they admit that they have a difficult time attracting and retaining African American students. And the reason they have a problem with it is because of the climate and the culture on that campus. So, to give an explanation as to why I say, why can't we believe her? There are black people in this so-called conservative realm who have decided to get on code with the conservative white people and to cast doubt on what this young woman said happened to her. Now, you would think that these people had had a different experience in America than the rest of us have had. You would think that they didn't know anything about the N-word, about all of the other things that we have been through in this country as an ethnic group. You would think that they've been living on flowery beds of ease all this time because they don't believe her. How can a black person, an American descendant of slavery, sit up and say that they don't believe her, that they don't think something like that would happen at Brigham Young University? At the very minimum, all you should say is, I'm surprised that happened at Brigham Young. But who would be surprised that that would happen at Brigham Young or any other university or any other place in the United States? Because racists don't have any particular place where they will go and show out. This could happen anywhere, and it happens more often than you would think. These kids will come back to their dorm room. Somebody has written a racist slur on the door. They've hung a noose somewhere in their vicinity. They are doing stuff all the time. And now you will have the nerve to say that you don't believe they would do it? This is the same town where the professional basketball player Russell Westbrook had a problem with hecklers, where he turned around and said to a man and his wife, I will F both of y'all up. That was in the very same town, Salt Lake City, Utah. These people have a history. And so for black people to say, oh, I don't believe, or it was a hoax. These people are very naive and they live under a rock because this stuff is happening all the time. Fortunately, there are influential people who do stand up for her. LeBron James tweeted something about it, and Stephen A. Smith, that alley mouth, got a hold to it. And that's how come they are trying to cover it up, because people who have large platforms are talking about it and criticizing Brigham Young. Also, Dawn Staley, who is the women's basketball coach at the University of South Carolina, who is black and who has a winning team, says she won't be going out there. So this is the kind of stuff that can hurt that university. I understand why they don't want it to be a big story, but this young woman should not be discredited. What happened to her happened to her, and I don't see what she would have gained by lying about it. Both colleges have pretty much gone silent on this matter because the only way to contain a story like this is to stop talking about it. Because the more you talk about it, the worse it gets. You'll have people coming out talking about it who weren't even at the game. Because at the end of the day, these are white institutions. These are two white institutions. Both of them have a history of having racial issues. So they understand each other. It's black people that seem to be confused. But anyway, I believe her. I don't see why she would lie about something like this, and I don't believe she is lying. And I hope that the African American community will stand by her, because this could happen to anybody's child. And as for people casting doubt on her, it's much easier for me to believe that it did happen, given the history of this country, Brigham Young included. So anyway, thank you for listening to the video. Let me know what you think about this. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.